So thanks for having us out here today, Marcus. If you want to just introduce yourself and just tell us a little bit about yourself, though, and we'll go from there.
Sure. So my name is Marcus Engel. I am 49 years old as of a week or two ago. Live in Orlando, Florida, and professionally I'm a speaker, I'm an author, I'm a healthcare consultant. I'm an adjunct professor at University of Notre Dame, where I teach pre-meds, compassion science. And I am a huge music fan. I was excited about this project, so thanks for asking me to be on the program.
Marcus, can you tell us one of your first recollections of music in your life?
My first recollections of music probably was being a little kid going to church and learning about Noah's Ark, and there's probably some cutesy song about the Arky being built out of birch barky and the animals coming two by two. But I really think of my earliest musical influence was Johnny Cash. My parents were Johnny Cash fans, and so when I was a wee lad of probably 4, 5, 6 years old, I was putting on Johnny Cash records and listening to Ring of Fire and dancing around my bedroom, and to this day I still remain a huge Johnny Cash fan.
Fantastic, as do I. Now, Marcus, when you were growing up and up until now, can you maybe share some experiences that you've had where music has played a role in maybe getting you through some tough times, or any experiences you had where music's helped in that regards?
It's hard to think of a time when music didn't play some kind of major role in my life. When I was growing up in a small town in Missouri, I was always a huge classic rock music fan. And I wasn't just like your casual fan. I was the guy who had every line of every song memorized, who knew all the liner notes to every album and CD. So music has always been a huge part of my life. And whenever I was growing up, though, I was not the same person as is sitting with you here today. When I grew up, I was a very typical teenager living in rural Missouri. I played football and was in band and choir and those kind of things in high school. The biggest significant event of my life took place about 6 months after I graduated high school, when I was a freshman in college. 6 weeks into my freshman year at Missouri State University, I got homesick. I came home for the weekend. I drove into St. Louis to meet up with some friends who I had made at camp. And following a St. Louis Blues hockey game, my friends and I got hit broadside by a drunk driver. That crash not only took 100% of my sight instantaneously and totally and permanently, but I also had what is called a Lefort 3 fracture. And a Lefort 3 means basically every bone from the hairline through the chin is crushed. So I must have gone face first into the pavement, all the bones in my face broken, and that absorbed the shock, which meant that even though I had all the bones in my face broken, I did not have any kind of traumatic brain injury. But it did leave me totally blind, and I was still hooked up to a feeding tube. I was hooked up to a oxygen tube through a trach in my throat. Spent 6 weeks laid up in a hospital room trying to adjust to life. And that's where I consider some of my, I don't want to say my love or my passion for music, because it's even deeper than a love or a passion. Some of the music that started to guide me from that point on. What I think of the most is, this was back in the early 90s, so we couldn't record on CDs yet, so we were still bootlegging tapes together, and a friend of mine made me a mixtape, and on it she put a Bob Dylan song that was called Just Like Tom Thumb's Blues. And I'd known this song for a long time. I'd known this song for several years. It's on Bob Dylan's Greatest Hits Volume 2. And so I knew the song, but it's like that experience when something happens and you go back and you view that familiar thing you're with from a totally different vantage point. So the second line of the song, Dylan sang this lyric that said, "Negativity don't pull you through." And when I heard that lyric, laying in that hospital bed blind and trying to adjust to life, it really, really spoke to me that I cannot focus on all the negative stuff that's happened to me. I've got to look at the positive things that I still have. And what positive things do I still have? Well, I still have my family. I still have my friends. I still have my brain. And with those things, I started to try to be able to rebuild the pieces. And every step along the way, of course, recovery and adaptation and all that, it's not a linear process. It's sometimes 2 steps forward, 3 steps back. But I would always come back to that idea of negativity don't pull you through. And I cannot get bogged down in the negative. I can't get bogged down in feeling sorry for myself or sad or any of those kind of things. I've got to look at the positive things and just keep moving on. Just keep moving on.
Thank you so much for sharing that, Marcus. So since that has happened, can you share a little bit about the positivity that you brought out of, I guess, of that traumatic negative situation, as far as what you're doing now and what you've done, I guess, since then? And
yeah, so that was a big life-changing event, as you can imagine. It took 2 years out of my life until I could get back into college and try to pick up the pieces. And so ever since I was a junior in college, I've been speaking professionally around the country about that wreck and recovery and really highlighting the compassionate care and the compassionate communication that was shown to me during my recovery. And I primarily do this for audiences of healthcare professionals, trying to just get them to be, just remember, why did you go into this sacred profession of professional caregiving? Why did you go into this in the first place, right? Trying to get people to stay connected to the heart. Trying to remember that the person at the other end of the stethoscope is suffering and is potentially in pain and ill and frightened, out of their element, etc. So that's what I get to do, and that's what I have been doing for 20 some odd years now. It's a wonderful thing that I get to do. I get to meet some amazing people, and it's not very often that I get to share how impactful that music has been in my journey. One of the other, about 2 years after that wreck, Bruce Springsteen came out with an album of all acoustic music called The Ghost of Tom Joad. The Ghost of Tom Joad by Bruce Springsteen. And when I listened to that album, still in recovery, still trying to put my life back together, Springsteen sang a lyric that said, "You get used to anything, and sooner or later it just becomes your life." And to me, that spoke so directly to my heart, because it was like, how am I going to get back into college? How am I going to be able to put the pieces back together? How am I going to make friends? How am I going to meet girls? How am I going to go to parties? How am I going to live a life again? And you get used to anything, and sooner or later it just becomes your life. And I have tried to live that for the last 30 years now, that this is just my life. I don't spend time sad or depressed over my life. It's just my life. These days I love my life. I have nothing to complain about, and I get to do some great things. Meet great people.
let me ask you this, Marcus. When you were going through that extensive recovery, or since, in I guess in the medical side of things, was music something that I guess was suggested or incorporated from the medical field?
Yes. In fact, my plastic surgeon, who was my primary doctor throughout this whole thing, plastics and ENT, his name is Dr. Timothy Jones. He's in Oklahoma now. And I was, a couple of months after the trauma, the reality had set in, and I was not a good patient. I was an angry young man dealing with loss, trying to adjust. And I looked at my surgeon, even though he was trying to help me and doing surgeries on me about every couple of weeks, maybe once or twice a month. I looked at him as the enemy, that this guy is my enemy. And why did I think that? Because every time I saw him, I hurt, right? Every time that I saw him, it was going into surgery or coming out of surgery or in his office for more procedures. And it was just about Christmas time, and I've got a list of complaints that I'm ready to unleash on him, right? I'm going into his office. I still can't walk. I still got a trach. My jaws are still wired shut at this point, and I've just got so many complaints that I'm going to drop on him like a nuke. And he came in, and I started complaining, and I kept complaining. And after a while, at the end of the appointment, he stops me and he takes my hand and he puts something in my hand. And it was a cassette of REM's album Automatic for the People, which contains the song Everybody Hurts. Beautiful song, beautiful video. And the whole idea of Everybody Hurts, if you're not familiar with the song, is that all of us are suffering, right? Everybody is going through something difficult. Whenever we suffer, we're not alone, right? Everybody, it's part of the human condition to suffer. And that song, Everybody Hurts, really spoke to me I almost took it like as an anthem that my doctor was saying to me, everybody hurts and I'm here with you, Marcus. And to this day, we still refer to that. In fact, he has a non-for-profit that looks at mental health, specifically suicide prevention. And he's holding a black tie gala in September, incorporating music, and wants me to come share that specific story with the audience because music has such a therapeutic effect on people. It's been a big therapy in my life, and it has been in his too.
Well, I couldn't agree more with that, and I'm so glad that you had that experience, and because that's one of the reasons we're doing, these types of interviews is to remind people that music does have therapeutic qualities. It's great for celebrating and dancing and all other things, but it can be used as a healing tool. And last thing, Marcus, on this segment, you play guitar. We're going to do a little extra, content in a little bit. Did you start playing guitar before your accident, or was that something you picked up after?
No, I didn't start playing guitar until I was probably 5 years into blindness. And why did I pick up a guitar for the first time? Number one, I'm a music lover, but number two, I also thought, hey, I'm a blind guy with facial trauma. I need to do everything I can to be as sexy as I can. So just like most guys, I picked up a guitar for the first time to try to impress a girl. But it has been such a gift to learn how to play and to sing and just to be able to use the instrument for my own personal recreation and therapy, and then as a learning tool, and then as something to bond me together with other people. When you're playing music and you're in that sympathetic resonance of everybody hitting the music together at the same time, and it's just right. That's just really, really special. And so that's another way learning how to play music has been such a big gift in my life.
Fantastic. And there was a story on the news that I saw recently that led me to contact you, that you shared with me. It gave you a little scare about being able to play music. Would you share with us what happened most recently? A little situation you got yourself into.
Situation, yeah, or my dog got me into. So it really was kind of both my dog and my fault that this happened. But I have a fairly new CNI dog. He's been with me now for a year. Last year, he had only been with me for a few months. When it was summertime, I took him out in my backyard here in Florida. And whenever he came back to the door to go back inside, he had something in his mouth. And I didn't know what this thing was, but I knew it wasn't a dog toy. So I took it out of his mouth, and we go inside, and I'm walking through the living room to throw it away in the trash. And I'm feeling around on this thing, and it's ceramic and plastic kind of glued together. And I can't tell exactly what it is. It's about the size of a football. And so I'm getting across the room, and all of a sudden I see the ceramic, I see the plastic thing here, but what is this flat, round, smooth thing that is wrapped around it? And as soon as that thought went through my head, I knew this is a snake. And as soon as that thought went in my head, his fangs went in my hand. And I had sustained a bite from a venomous cottonmouth snake. I didn't know this at the time, but I thought you get a snake bite, you get a shot of anti-venom, and it's all cleared up. No, I spent six days in the hospital. My arms swelled up to the size of my leg and thigh, and there was a lot of fear the first night when my hand is double, triple the size it should be, my arm is double or triple the size it should be. There was the thought that I may lose my hand, that they may have to take my hand or take a couple of my fingers to get the swelling down to not have to lose the remainder of my arm. And going into surgery just 2 or 3 hours after the snake bite, the hand surgeon said to me, my goal is to save your hand. And that kind of slapped me across the face, because it's like, for a person living with sight loss, to lose a hand is an even bigger deal. But luckily, because of the quick action of EMS and of the surgeons, I have full function of my hand. I've got no problem. I can play guitar just fine. I can type, I can use my phone, I can do all the things that I have to do just to function in this world. And so I'm very fortunate that number one, I wasn't allergic to the snake venom and it didn't kill me. And then number two, that the actions by the medical teams were so quick that that I still have my ability to quote unquote see with my hands.
Well, that's quite a harrowing experience, and couldn't be happier that it had the positive outcome. And I, as a guitarist, I could identify with the first thought being, how am I going to play the guitar?
Yeah.
Because that is a form of self-expression and healing for myself. Marcus, thank you so much for having me out here and sharing some of your experience, strength, and hope with us. Any final words you'd like to throw out there, things that you're doing, promote any, and maybe tell us about a book, a recent book that you came out with, I think, or anything?
Sure, yeah. So if you want any information about the keynote speaking that I do and the trainings that I do, please visit marcusengel.com. That's ENGEL.com, marcusengel.com. And I did just come out with my most popular book. I've written 4 books to date, maybe 5. And the one that just came out is an audiobook of my most popular book, which is called I'm Here, Compassionate Communication in Patient Care. There's probably 60 or 80 nursing schools around the country that are using this book and curriculum that I know of. There may be over 100 that I don't know of. But it's just a really powerful book about what is the patient's perspective and what are the little ways that we can more compassionately communicate with other people who are suffering, whether it's something as severe as what I went through, or it's somebody that just got their heart broken in a relationship. Maybe it's something as severe as the loss of a child, but I hope that people are learning some compassionate communication techniques and getting a little inspirational story too.
Well, thank you again, Mark. It's been a privilege and a blessing to hear some of your story today.
Likewise. Thank you for doing what you do, and thank you for giving me this opportunity to talk about the way that music has helped heal me. Sometimes you're not right. Get what you need. Get what you need. Get what you need. Sweet.
Very good.
What are you talking about? You're not a solo guy.
Huh?
I disagree
I
with that.
appreciate that.
Yeah.